welcome to episode 9 of the Beyond the Snap podcast. I'm your co-host Kirtan. I'm here with Kieran, and on this episode, we are going to be covering the Super Bowl. We're going to be talking about our conference predictions. We're going to be talking about Ryan Grubb, and we're going to be talking about the replacement coach at UCLA, and also, where is Chip Kelly heading? Because our sources are telling us he's heading over to the Big Ten. Anyways, we're going to kick it off with some off-season that keeps on giving, and Kieran's going to dive into that.
Yeah, so I will admit, in the last couple of weeks, I have somewhat relaxed on the college football front, trying to prepare for the Super Bowl, maybe watching some NFL playoffs, reconciling the fact that after today is the Super Bowl, this is Super Bowl Sunday as we record this. There's going to be a lot of weeks until there is another football game. And I'm not talking about the whatever it is, the UFL. I'm talking about actual fall football. So, with reconciling that, there is still more from the coaching carousel that we've been given. It kind of keeps on spinning. And the latest kind of two things it spit out is the first thing that absolutely shocked me is that Ryan Grubb, so a little background on Ryan Grubb, he began at Alabama, began at Washington with Kalen DeBoer, and then went to Alabama, seemed locked in there. I'm not entirely sure if he signed a contract, but I know he was to follow Kalen DeBoer to Alabama, and then is now headed to go be the offensive coordinator for the Seahawks. And there is one reason behind this, and this is speculation, but also, I'm pretty 95% sure this is correct, and that's money. I don't know how Alabama got bought out by the Seahawks, but it most definitely happened in some way, because it doesn't really make any sense to go from a really, really good blue blood college football program that is going to build back and be strong, to a NFL program? I don't know. Maybe there are some Seahawks fans out there that are going to come after me, but to me it doesn't seem like it's par to par, except for maybe money. And Kirtan, go ahead and tell us how this is going to hurt Alabama.
Well, as we know, Nick Saban has left Alabama. That was obvious, and now we know Kalen DeBoer has come in, taken over the reins, and so the reason why Ryan Grubb not going to Alabama will be such a big impact is the sheer fact that we know what Ryan Grubb was capable of. We know that he had such a potent offense, especially at Washington, where let's be honest, there's not really that much talent outside of the doors besides Rome Odunze and Michael Penix Jr., of course. And so you have to look at it from that scale. You have to say, well, Washington hasn't had a top 25 class. It hasn't had a top 10 class like Alabama or Texas or Georgia for that matter. And they're still able to have probably the best offense in the entire NCAA last year. So the reason why it's going to hurt Alabama is because Alabama, you lost everyone. You cleaned house when Kalen DeBoer came in. He tried to implement his guys. He tried to implement his style. And, of course, it almost seemed like Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer were like a team. Like, no matter where Kalen DeBoer was going to go, Ryan Grubb was going to follow him. They were going to build a powerhouse, like you said, at Alabama. And so the fact that he's going over to the Seahawks, well, it's great for Ryan Grubb because I think Kieran hit this right on the head with the fact that it's probably money-based, and it's also that he gets to put his name into the NFL, which is probably a bigger scenario, especially if he does good. He'd probably get a head coaching job over there. But this is going to hurt Alabama because of the fact that Alabama now is going to have to struggle. They're going to have to move fast. Going to have to go find a offensive coordinator. Kalen DeBoer hasn't had someone else besides Ryan Grubb for all these years. And so now it's going to be like they need to gel again. They need to find a replacement. He needs to gel with the team. And then they're going to have to find a new style of play. Because as we know, Ryan Grubb was really pass heavy. And so now, because we know Bama brings in these top tier running backs, Najee Harris, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram. Now you're going to have to move and say, are we going to be more pass heavy? Are we going to be run heavy? And so the entire scheme is going to have to change.
To me, this just evidences just that little bit of essence of a rebuild, essentially, right? There's not a whole lot of... It's really hard to be a Alabama and be in that situation and not have an offensive coordinator, especially when you thought that that was the one thing that wasn't changing, right? He'd have Ryan Grubb, he'd have that guy in his corner, and now he doesn't. And I think this is just indicative that Alabama is not as good as you think they are. They will not be as good as you think they are. Just because they have that A on their helmet does not mean they get a free pass. Now, what Saban's built is still there, but it may be dormant for a year. Alabama, I think this year is going to be that dormant volcano, especially with the loss of a key offensive piece. I think bigger than any player, right? Any one player, certainly. And to me, this really just creates the manifests what I had talked about earlier. And if you came after me then, well, what are you saying now is all I'm looking for. That's just one more little drop in the bucket to what I think will be an okay season, but not certainly a Bama caliber season as we have come to think of them. But moving on. So another little interesting thing is that Chip Kelly and UCLA, who have had a bit of a fragmented relationship, they've kind of gone after each other, just the athletic department and him, back and forth. They don't really like each other. Chip Kelly's a good coach, but there were rumors of him being fired, even though he didn't really deserve it. And it's kind of just been back and forth. He's headed to Ohio State to be Ryan Day's offensive coordinator. Kirtan, what just happened?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you what happened. Ohio State is getting swole, as they say. They're going to beef up. And you just put a head coach of UCLA who, I mean, for these last couple of years, UCLA hasn't looked their finest. But now you're bringing in Chip Kelly, who we know, at least to some extent, is reliable. He's been at UCLA for, I don't know how many years, I think 5, 6 at this point. And so now, like I put in my own video, Ohio State, they're beefing up and they're looking like a potent team. Especially now that you lost Jim Harbaugh, and he's gone and he's your number one enemy. He's public enemy number one and he's gone. You lost Kellen DeBoer, public enemy number one of Washington, gone. And so all these teams are losing a bunch of their star-studded coaches. Well, now you just beefed up your offensive coordinator. You already know you have a proven head coach. So it's looking like a pretty good year to be a Buckeye.
Yeah, and one other thing that I think is interesting is that even with the fraught athletic department, there's probably a decent chance that Chip Kelly took, if not a significant downturn, at least a little bit of cut in his pay. So to me, he's really just really part of the evidence that to me Ohio State is a crazy high caliber team. He is going to certainly help them. He's a good offensive guy. He's talented. He's a great coach. And yeah, especially with, I think it's now up to 6 or 7 Michigan coaches headed to the Chargers, including their strength and conditioning coach, who I think, and I've, seen a lot of his stuff and looked at his philosophy and all of that. And I think Ben Herbert, their strength and conditioning coach, was one of the best in the business. He is gone strictly because of money to the Chargers. So, and there's, several other aides and assistants from various parts of that football program, right? And it takes a whole program to win a championship, who are now going to head to Los Angeles with Harbaugh. So yeah, Ohio State is really, at this point, the shark circling around the ship that is the Big Ten, in the water and certainly poised to do some crazy things. So that kind of segues us, and we could talk about this for longer, but ultimately that's kind of what's happened. We'll talk about implications as soon as we know more. Obviously, we'll get you Bama's new offensive coordinator when that comes down. And now we're going to move on to the big game that will be played. Not exactly sure when it kicks, but tonight in
7:30, I'm pretty sure.
the city of Sin City, something like that.
City of Gambling.
Las Vegas, yeah. The city of gambling will be played tonight between the fighting Taylor Swifts and Christian McCaffrey. So, if with that entertaining segue, Kirtan, go ahead and give us a little bit of a great game breakdown and some thoughts.
Alrighty, well, get your notes out, guys. So, first off, I have to say that Super Bowl 58 will be played in Las Vegas. This was the first game that got rid of the hoax that the team at the top or in the Super Bowl logo, they of course have two colors and it's a gradient. And this was the first game that got rid of the fact that it was going to be purple and red. Well, we know Baltimore got eliminated by the Chiefs, so it's a full red Super Bowl. Chiefs will be wearing red, and the 49ers will be wearing their. Or no, it'll be the opposite, my bad. It'll be the Chiefs in the white and the 49ers in the red. This will be Super Bowl 58. For the Swiftie fans that are out there, Taylor Swift had just had a concert in Japan, but it seems to be scheduled that she will still make it all the way back in time for the Super Bowl to go watch her boyfriend, Travis Kelce, of course. If you want some other Swift facts, I know that what's 5 plus 8, Super Bowl 58, equals 13, Taylor Swift's number. This will be Travis Kelce's 13th Super Bowl appearance, or 13th playoff appearance. It's another fun number for him. But let's get more into the analytical things. So, the line dropped as San Francisco minus 1.5 for this game, so that we know San Francisco is obviously favored. If we look at sheer talent, we know that San Francisco has the best running back in the league, some of the best offensive players in the league, best middle linebacker in the league, best defensive end in the league, and better wide receivers. We know that the Chiefs, all they really have is the best quarterback in the league. I don't care if Lamar Jackson won the MVP. I'm saying it based off of experiences and based off of what happened in the playoffs. Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league, and they have arguably the best tight end in the league. He's had some down numbers, but he's still one of the best players. And so if you're really going to look at this Super Bowl, you have to look at defensive quality. The question is, can L'Jarius Sneed, can Chris Jones of Kansas City stop this potent offense tied with Block Purdy, tied with CMC Run, tied with Teron Armstead, tied with Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel? Can you stop this top-tier team? And if you can, then we'll see a good show, because we know that the Chiefs are always going to be a top-tier team. They're always going to get into the end zone. They're always going to score. Patrick Mahomes has magic somehow, and he, unlike his brother, he will be doing a fun dance in the Super Bowl, not a creepy, weird Super Bowl dance in his booth. But yeah, besides that, the Super Bowl should be a really fun game. Some other crazy facts that I just know off the top of my head are, I'm pretty sure the cheapest ticket was over $1,000 in the Super Bowl. The suites in the Super Bowl were $2 million. Each 30-second ad that you're going to watch on the Super Bowl will be approximately $1.5 million to run. And this should be a great game. We have two of the best tight ends in the league, two of the best quarterbacks in the league. We have experience versus talent. And the question is, which side are you on? Are you going with experience? Are you going are you going to trust in Mahomes? Or are you going with sheer talent, sheer will to win, and Kittle, CMC, Teron Armstead, Fred Warner, and Nick Bosa? Kieran, what are you?
Yeah, so I'm going to give you a little game breakdown, and then we will pick the game. But first, I must point out, and get your Googles ready. Get your Googles ready, people. Ladies and gentlemen, what is Brock Purdy's number? Oh, wait.
13.
Yep. Exactly. Just a little. They can't say we don't get into the conspiracies. However, they do not matter for football. Now, San Francisco and this 49ers team is, I think, a special team. I think that Kyle Shanahan has put together a very well-rounded team. I think they have two of the best linebackers in the league in Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw. They've got, undoubtedly, I think, one of the best O-linemen in the league in Trent Williams, who is gonna dominate and go crazy, and is probably going to, at various points, send various Chiefs flying across various parts of the field. It's kind of just what he does. 6'5", I think 315. So a bit of a menace. Not somebody you really want to be blocked by. But then again, the Chiefs have a really good D-line featuring Chris Jones, especially, as well as Karlaftis and a couple of others. But to me, this game is really won on the lines of scrimmage, and in Brock Purdy's mind. So, firstly, the first question that I have that's a big question is who wins the line of scrimmage? Because you look at both sides. You have Eric Armstead and Nick Bosa for the D-line on the 49ers, both very good players. We've seen Eric Armstead be dynamic in the playoffs. We've seen Bosa come up with clutch sacks when it matters. And they're going against the Chiefs' O-line. And while they're not super remarkable and not super well talked about, obviously they're going to be an important group. And the question is it all on Mahomes? Or can the O-line be able to block so that they can feed it to Pacheco some, right? Is there a run game? Can they fool Fred Warner and Greenlaw enough to get somewhat of a run game going? Or is it all through the air and is it all to Travis Kelce? So that's kind of the question. Does it fall on just Travis Kelce's shoulders? Or are you able to get Pacheco in there? Is Mahomes maybe able to bust a quarterback run? And to me, that's the biggest question in the trenches. And the other question is, can San Francisco protect Brock Purdy long enough for his brain and his skill to distribute the ball where it needs to go? Now, that's going to be to Christian McCaffrey. That's going to be to Brandon Ayuk. That's going to be to Deebo Samuel. Can he get the ball, right? You know they're going to be able to run it behind Trent Williams. But can McCaffrey get those characteristic long, explosive runs? Can he batter the defense? Can he catch the ball effectively? And can you use Christian McCaffrey and the Chiefs being scared straight to allow Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk to tear up that secondary because the Chiefs are all looking towards number 23? And I think they will be able to do that. If Brock Purdy has a good night, if CMC is on, they're very, very, very hard to stop. And they've proven that they could be a comeback team and win from way behind, which is huge to me and will really just allow them to be to that next level, and that they also have the Chiefs clutch factor. And now the one thing that neither of us have addressed that needs to be talked about is number 87. And this is just in strict football. His talent is twofold. He can catch. He's got really great hands. He has a wide catch radius. And secondly, it's his rapport with Mahomes. He is not a good route runner. He's not very fast. He's an okay blocker, but he's not great. He's not super physical. But what he's able to do is when you drop back into a zone coverage, when you play a zone, he is able to find the soft spot, right? He's not even necessarily running a route. He's kind of just running around to find the soft spot, and then Mahomes can just see that flash of red, let the ball go, and it's a catch, right? He's not necessarily doing crazy things after the catch unless he's trying to lateral it or get crazy or something. But he's able to just have that pair of hands and be a huge target. Now, if the 49ers do one thing, and look for this early, as it's likely that this could determine the outcome of the game. If the 49ers play, it does not matter what coverage they play on the other wide receivers. But if they play a man coverage with Kelce, with a safety looking at him over the top, I think it's over. I think if you line up Greenlaw, or if you line up Warner, or even take a slot corner of some kind and put him over Kelce, if you see Kelce facing man coverage on, if not nearly every snap, certainly every obvious pass snap, then the 49ers defense is going to be able to get it done. Because to me, man coverage is what's going to take away Kelce. He's not very slippery. He's not able to ditch someone once they're on him. He's just able to find where the eyes don't find him, right? Where the defense isn't thinking about him. He's able to find that little soft spot in the pocket, in the seam between the corner and the safety, where the linebacker's looking in the flat to the running back and the safety's looking to the receiver, right? He's able to find that little niche, just enough to be able to make some crazy plays. And to me, if the 49ers are able to just man up on them, and that's their strategy, and they stick with it no matter what, they will be able to beat Kelce long term, and therefore shut down the Chiefs' offense if they can stop that run as well. But Kirtan, let's go ahead and get your prediction for the game. What's the pick? Where are you going? The fighting Taylor Swifts or Christian McCaffrey?
I'm going with the Glock Purdy in this one. I've always been a hater of the Chiefs, as I am a Denver Broncos fan, and they are arch enemies. I love what they did because they represented our conference well, and they represented our division well. But it's that saying, it's that really famous saying of you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain, and that is so evident in this game, as we used to always want the Chiefs to win, especially against Tom Brady and the Patriots, because he was a new hot thing. We wanted to see the dynasty end. Well, that's where I'm at now, but this time I'm with Brock Purdy because I want to see the dynasty end. I mean, it was nice for the first 2 years, but now it's almost like if they miss the playoffs or if they miss the Super Bowl, like something drastic must happen because they're always going to make it to the Super Bowl. And so I want the Niners to win, and I do think they do win this game. I think it's gonna be close, but where I do see the winning happening is in the trenches. I do think that if their D line can step up, if Eric Armstead can step up and stop the run game of the Chiefs, and if they can stop Isaiah Pacheco, then you make the team really you limit the team to one side. Because then what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say you limit them to only playing in the air. And according to Kadarius Toney, he believes that he is the number one wide receiver, even though we've seen him drop basically every single pass. And so you know that the Chiefs' wide receiver core are horrible. They are. They're just horrible. No one can catch a football. It's almost like they have like Vaseline on their hands. And so then you limit it to Travis Kelce, and we know that you can win the Super Bowl because of the fact we've seen it with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, what did they do when they played the Chiefs? Well, I'll tell you. They covered Kelce, they covered Hill, and they blitzed the shit out of Mahomes. That's all it was. That's all it was. That's all it was. And they won the game because Mahomes was having to play like Superman, throwing the ball when he was literally lateral, like when he was halfway on the floor. Like when you make Mahomes pull out all of the magic in his bag and you drain him of his energy, you'll win the game. And I do think the main thing is turnovers and defense. If you can stop down the run, if you can stop the run and you can force a turnover, I see the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan loading up for bear, loading, and they're ready, and they're going to say, okay, this is our one shot to get ahead. Let's go get a two conversion lead or a 2-drive lead. They go down, they score, and I see it being 34-17 with 2 minutes left. I see Mahomes doing Mahomes things and making the score 34-24. And then I see the game ending. And then I see a onside kick recovered by the Niners and the game ending 34-24. Glock Purdy hoisting that trophy high. And all of the Niner Nation, bang bang Niner gang, we get the dub.
Again, not from San Francisco, a Denver Broncos fan. Really,
Denver Broncos. That's the reason.
Anyway,
that's the only reason.
As a very partisan Houston Texans fan, which I do not try to hide because I do not pretend to cover the NFL in any way, shape, or form. We're just here talking about it because, I mean, everyone has thoughts about the Super Bowl, right? I am going to... There are two parts of me, and they are currently fighting a battle. One is the logical reasoning part, which tells me that the San Francisco 49ers will win by 7 in an exciting game. The other one is the part where I am now 8 predicting the Chiefs this year. Anytime I put a Chiefs prediction on paper, it always ends up that they win. Now, I always pick against them, or when I pick for them, they immediately lose. So, for the sake of everyone everywhere, I picked the Chiefs to win by 3 in, I guess, the latest episode of Mahomesian Magic. So yeah, I don't know if I'm sorry or happy, but maybe, just maybe, I'll be 1-8 predicting the Chiefs after this game. And if I had recorded previous predictions, we would have a nice montage of me getting things wrong. But, you know, that's how it is. So we're going to move on to the next kind of thing, and this is also Super Bowl related. Just talking about some of the best players. And so we're going to go one by one, just talking about players. And from 10 to 1, we kind of agreed on this. We made up a list. And the first player we're going to talk about is George Kittle. So George Kittle, he's a very good blocking tight end. His routes are great. He's got good hands. His hair is very weird. But other than that, he's a very sound football player. He's got good fundamentals. He's got good skills, and he could make an impact in this game, both in blocking and then in the pass game. If Brock Purdy's able to find him out of that, attached look, or if they split him to the slot, or really wherever he goes, he's able to make an impact. And we saw it against a lot of teams, especially in this postseason. Saw it against Detroit, and especially where he was just able to make a couple of catches that got some momentum, and then next thing you know, Brandon Ayuk is catching a touchdown, and the next thing you know, 49ers are back in it. So he could be a big, huge impact player in this game. But Kirtan, what's the 9th best player in the Super Bowl?
Alrighty, moving on to number 9, we have Chris Jones. Chris Jones, early on in the season, actually boycotted because of the fact that he wanted a pay rise. He thought he deserved more, and I totally agree with him. He's one of the best defensive linemen in the game. He is a game disruptor, and for all the people that play Madden out there, he has the ability inside stuff where it's really hard to run the ball straight through the defensive line, as he's just such a finesse player, and he will get his way. He'll swim move over and grab the running back and take him to the ground. Chris Jones, he's outstanding talent, and he will be the 9th best player in the game, or just in general out of these two teams, because of the fact that he is a game disruptor, and especially if CMC is one of the big points of the game that they're going to rely on. If Chris Jones can have a day, if Chris Jones can play well, stop the inside run and force it all to the outside, that's a big momentum shift and a big scheme change needs to be made by the Niners. And so the Chiefs will have the upper hand in that part. Kieran, off to you for number 8.
Yeah, so at number 8, we have Trent Williams. So the 49ers star tackle, who is really good. He's big, he's physical, he throws grown men all around. Really, really good at decleating blocks, just absolute total destroying blocks. He's great in pass protection. He's got great hands, really able to latch onto that D lineman. He's good against the blitz. He's just a very good big body to have. He's very mobile and he's very athletic for his size. He's going to be a factor in the run game. The little pull, outside zone, set the edge, clean the defensive end off his feet, and there goes Christian McCaffrey for 30. So that's, Christian McCaffrey is a one block back, right? You give him one block, you give him one good block, and he can make a guy miss and then get, 7, 8, 10, 20 yards, right? And that's what Trent Williams is going to be able to do. He's going to be able to just make that one block. He's going to be able to protect Brock Purdy for just that little bit longer to make that play. And that's why he is so key and is the 8th best player in this year's Super Bowl.
Yeah, and now going on to number 7, we have linebacker number 2 on the Niners. And of course, I'm talking about Dre Greenlaw. Talk about Mr. Reliable. Dre Greenlaw this season has recorded over 120 tackles. I believe that half of those are just solo tackles, and including the fact that he also has recorded 1.5 sacks. Now, I know that's underwhelming, but the reason I call him Mr. Reliable is the fact that on average, since week 17, all the way up to the wild card, all the way up to the division, all the way up to the conference championship, he has recorded 7 to 10 tackles on his own. Just like tackles in general, just solo tackles. And so he's Mr. Reliable. You know the moment that Isaiah Pacheco gets the ball, that if he runs into Dre Greenlaw will take him down. If he has to by himself, he will. If he needs to be backup support, he will. And he's just a guy with a high motor. It doesn't matter if he's all the way on the other hash. He's going to run all the way over, tackle Pacheco, and he's a guy that you want on your team to boost morale, to bring the hype, and bring the pain, essentially. And so that's why I put him at number 7 on our collective list.
Yeah, so at number 6, I have the second best quarterback. There you go. That's a fun one. Stick that in the bloopers. Quarterback. Patrick Mahomes is who's going to be at number 6. No, I'm kidding. Of course it's Brock Purdy. Very good quarterback. I think he was slept on as Mr. Irrelevant, last pick in the draft. Now he is very much relevant, starting in a Super Bowl, potentially leading his team to victory. He's got great weapons, and if he plays well and is able to distribute the ball, the 49ers win this game. If he's not harassed, if he's got a clean pocket, if he's able to make some good plays, then he can win this game and can help the 49ers win the game and take home the Lombardi Trophy. I will also mention, for the sake of comedy and interest, if you have desire to, look up Brock Purdy's Super Bowl photo shoot. I saw a couple of images from it, and he's doing his best to look menacing, but still really kind of just looks like Brock Purdy, and a little bit of a cute cuddly bear. But don't let him fool you. He can still get you with that arm, and that's why he's the sixth best player. Talk about my favorite linebacker, please, Kirtan.
We're talking about linebacker number 1 on the 49ers, one of the most dominant linebackers in all of the NFL. This, of course, is Fred Warner. Fred Warner, just in general, is arguably, I would say, number 3, number 2 linebacker in the entire NFL. I think the only one that might take over him is Awusa. He is the Falcons linebacker. I think he is just an outstanding talent, but the reason I put Fred Warner at number 5 is Fred Warner, he's a ball hawk. He is a run stopper. He is everything you want in a linebacker. If you are a linebacker that's prospering and trying to play like the greats, play like Fred Warner. Because Fred Warner has the ability to scan the field, scan the QB's eyes, and he can say, oh, okay, I see Mahomes, he's looking at Kelsey. I'm going to play 5 yards off of Kelsey. The moment the ball is released, I'm going to snap and I'm going to take the ball into the end zone. I'm going to steal it. I'm going to go home. And it's things like that. He's also an amazing run blocker. Him and Dre Greenlaw are probably a match made in heaven. They're yin and yang. Because Dre Greenlaw is more of a tackle-heavy guy. He's there for the run stop. While Fred Warner is more of a ball hawk. He's more looking for the big hit. He's making the smart play. There's a really famous clip, I'll see if I can find it for this video, of him literally just spearing a player, going all the way downfield, just spearing a guy. And he's just an outstanding talent. So I think he's going to be a major impact in this game, especially if he can be a ball hawk and start taking away possessions from the Chiefs and start getting interceptions, because that would, of course, kill Mahomes' morale, and then it would kill the Chiefs' morale.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about Fred Warner just a little bit. He's my favorite and I think the best current linebacker in the league. He reminds me a lot of Luke Kuechly. Very smart, cerebral, able to think about plays before they happen, right? Constantly communicating. Like, just watch the 49ers defense. They communicate like crazy. He is what I aspire to be playing middle linebacker. He's very physical. Not as physical as Greenlaw, especially recently. But I think you'll see a lot of his physicality, and he may even outshine Greenlaw in terms of physicality in the Super Bowl. But he's a great player. He's crazy good. I could not withstand not talking about him. He's got that signature spear tackle, which he just, throws himself at the defender and absolutely smashes him. And that is really what Fred Warner is all about. And much respect to him. And Fred Warner, if you're listening, we would love to have you on and talk some linebacker analysis. So, I've got at number 4, Travis Kelce, who will be, I think, the most impactful tight end and most impactful receiver on this game, and in just in general. A very impactful receiver. If he's shut down or if he succeeds, really kind of decides the game to me. Again, I've talked about him previously on this episode and in a couple of past episodes. He's very good at finding the soft spot, and if they man up on him, they'll take him out of the game. But if he's able to just make the couple of plays, maybe hit that lateral to Isaiah Pacheco or hit that lateral to someone else, and then they're able to score off of it or get a bigger gain off of it, then that's what you're looking for, and that's what is going to decide this game. And who do you got at 3, Kirtan?
The number 3 player in this game is going to be Nick Bosa. Big bad man Bosa. He is coming for Patrick Mahomes. What do we know about Bosa? Well, we know he is a phenomenal player and he is relentless to get to the quarterback. We know that he is outstanding. We know all of his talents. We know that him and his big brother, they're an outstanding pair. Joey Bosa, of course, I'm talking about, plays for the LA Chargers. He is an outstanding defensive lineman. They both use signature swim moves, and they both know how to get away from their left tackle or right tackle that they have to cover or they have to get away from. And he is just relentless. He will always get to Mahomes in the backfield, and that's the big thing. Like I said before, Tampa Bay's strategy of winning when they played the Chiefs in, I believe, Super Bowl 56 was that all they had to do was get the pressure on. If you could pressure Mahomes, if you can shut down his wide receivers, because we know he doesn't have any wide receivers, you can win the game. Because Mahomes, when he's forced out of the pocket, he has to think faster. It's just common sense. Like any player, you have to think on the go, you have to run, you have to think about not getting hit, not getting hurt. Are you going to pick up the first down? Who's going to get open? Is Travis Kelce there? Oh, Swifties. Stuff like that. And so you have to play smart. And so if you can pressure him, you make Mahomes make bad decisions, and you end up getting turnovers and third down stops.
All right, yeah. So I got at number 2, the second most important, second most skilled player, Christian McCaffrey. So he's dynamic. He's a talent. He's been crazy since his days at Stanford and even since high school. He's strong, fast, agile, has really good vision. Again, I've said previously he's a one-block back. He just needs that one block to open it up for him. And he can make people miss and make people take bad angles and get to the end zone. He's incredibly tough. He got tackled and, what I thought surely was going to be a neck injury, but he's fine. He's back. He's ready to go. And to me, he's the biggest key for the 49ers on offense. If he has a good game and if they're able to feed him and get him the ball 20, 30, maybe even 40 times in this game, then he is able to be the best player on the field, go for like 300 or 400 all-purpose yards, and tear up that Chiefs defense and go crazy like he did in the championship game and in the divisional game before that. But who do you have? Who is the most important player in this year's Super Bowl? Who are we looking at? Who is the man?
The most valuable, the most best, the most important player of the game is none other than Mr. Patrick Mahomes. Really, there's not much I can talk about Mahomes that everyone doesn't already know. Mahomes went to Texas Tech, where he was dominant. He was promised from Kansas City that they were going to draft him first. We know everything he's been capable of. He's been to the Super Bowl, I don't know, the last 3-4 years, besides the one where he lost to the Bengals. He's an outstanding force. He always makes it to the playoffs. He's always made it to the AFC Championship for some reason. And he is magic. I mean, when you watch Mahomes play, you know that everyone else on that field is less than him. Because of the fact that he makes outrageous throws that should never be complete, that should never even be possible, he makes those throws. He makes smart moves. He is probably one of the best dynamic quarterbacks, meaning not running and passing. I'm saying passing and thinking, really. Sure, arm talent, he's just one of the best. I know both me and Kieran are in agreement that probably the MVP or best quarterback, we'll say, for the last 3 years has to either be Mahomes or Mahomes was number 2 as a runner-up. I don't really see much talent. I don't see really much people or many players that are better than him by any means. What are the implications of this game? Well, I'll tell you. If Mahomes is on and Mahomes can play magical like he can, like we've seen all these years, it will be a game over for the Niners. I think when Mahomes hits that extra gear where all he knows how to do is make passes, make touchdowns, score within 15 seconds, I mean, that's just something that you would never even dream of. You want a quarterback like that. If you're a Chiefs fan, you're preying on the fact that Mahomes has one of those days. Because if Mahomes is having one of those days, it doesn't matter if you're Christian McCaffrey, it doesn't matter if you're Brock Purdy, it doesn't matter if you're Nick Bosa, Mahomes is unstoppable. Because, like I always say, the quarterback is the captain of the ship. If your captain is Blackbeard, if you have the greatest captain in the world, you are getting through the storm, you're weathering it, and you're going to win a Super Bowl. Another fun fact, Drake put down his bet on Mahomes. I just watched a podcast with Micah Parsons where CeeDee Lamb, where Jordan Love, where someone else all picked the Chiefs to win because you can't count out 1-5. And so that wraps up this segment of the Super Bowl. Hope you all enjoyed that, because the next time we probably talk about NFL will probably be in the context of college football. Moving on now, we have our third conference ranking and conference predictions. We've done the ACC, we've done the Big Ten, so now we thought, why not? Let's do the big dog, let's do the Southeast. And so for your Southern Eastern Conference, we have Kieran, and he'll kick it off with the winner of the entire shebang.
All right. So, this is a team that I really, really like. I've been a Texas fan all my life. And I think they'll be able to get it done. And this is completely unbiased. The Texas bias goes away now. To me, I think that Texas, they've been aiming for a shot for a long time. Bama is, to me, to some degree at least, out of the picture. I think that there is a lot of Georgia to like, and there's a lot of upside, and Georgia certainly has a lot of potential, but I think they're trying to bet in a new defense. I think Texas has solved its problems. I think they're going to be dominant. I think Texas is going to go crazy, and I think Texas will lose to Georgia in the regular season, but will beat them in the conference championship game, Texas versus Georgia, for the second time, and then it will probably happen again for the national championship. Lord help us with this 12-team playoff. Texas, they're going to get it done. They're going to win. They're going to get it done. And what flavor of Georgia have you picked to win the SEC championship, Kirtan?
For today, we're going to choose the dog red. We're going to choose that midnight train to Georgia. Of course, I'm saying the SEC winner is none other than the Dogs. I find this a little fascinating, as Kieran did predict the Dogs to win the entire shebang. So, and I'm talking about the entire college football national championship. Let's remind ourselves of episode, I believe 7 it was, where Kieran said, I'll pick Georgia to win the entire thing. And so, I'm going to say Georgia goes undefeated. I'm saying you can't really stop the Dogs, especially this year when we're bringing back our top quarterback. We're bringing back our insanely stacked defense. There's really not much you can do at this point. We're going to run through different teams. We're going to stop the offense. And so, for your winners of the SEC, I got the Mad Dog winning. And I'm saying that it's going to be a hard road fought, but the moment we win in DKR, I think everyone's going to realize that you can't stop us.
Just so you know, please subscribe to the channel. This is a shameless plug. Because if you subscribe to YouTube, if you watch on Spotify, if you watch all of the views, there is, and if we get to, here, I'm going to make the claim. If we get to 2,000 subscribers by the start of next season, or even maybe 1,000, maybe I'll do a deal for you. If we even get to 1,000 subscribers by the start of next season, we will go to the Georgia game and do our best to be treated seriously as members of the press, which we perhaps do not deserve. But we will go to the Georgia-Texas game in Austin, because that's where we both live. And we will record for you from the Georgia game, Georgia-Texas game. We will get you our live reactions, or at least as live as possible. And it will be brilliant. It will be glorious, and it will be perfect. So please subscribe, please watch, and again, we will go. If we get 1,000 subscribers, we will be headed to not the championship game, to the Georgia-Texas game in Austin. So please subscribe if you want to see that happen. If you want to see us go to that game and make CBS look like an unprofessional broadcasting company and be the best media people there. So please subscribe, make it happen. All right.
And I'll make another deal. If we get 5,000, we'll go all the way to the championship.
Hey, 5,000 SEC championship. You heard it here first.
10,000, we go all the way to the college football championship.
There you go. 10,000 national championship appearance from yours truly. So,
make it happen.
People have made certain promises, and make it happen. Y'all have the power to do so, and I'm sure you have 10 friends, so that's all I'm saying. And if you don't, we can be your friends. It's okay. Now, moving on to... the surprise team. I have the other orange team with a T that is in the SEC. I've got Tennessee. I think Nico Amalieva is going to do well. I think that Tennessee has an outside shot and a pretty good shot to make the playoffs. And if they do, I think that's a huge surprise. I think they had a down year this year with Joe Milton, but I think Nico Amalieva is going to get them back on track, going to throw some crazy passes, maybe get an upset or two. Their schedule is roughly manageable for an SEC schedule. They've got some easy games in there, and I think they will be able to win those games. And I think they're your surprise team. You heard it here first. We will revisit it. But your surprise team from me for the SEC for 2024 is Tennessee. Kirtan?
And for me, I kind of have a cop-out answer. I'm picking the Rebels to be the surprise team. I know they're not really surprised, as I believe they were the 6th seed last year. But what's surprising going to be is that I don't know if Texas is going to make the SEC finals or the SEC championship game. And I really think Texas is going to be a star-studded team. I think they're going to make it all the way down to the semifinals. But I think Ole Miss might get the upper hand. I think Ole Miss is bringing in insanely great talent. I think they're just bolstering up, and they honestly will probably keep it close when they play the Dogs. It's going to be College game day. I almost am guessing it's going to be. And I believe Pat McAfee will still sing that the Dogs will win, but I do think it's going to be a really close game. So for my surprise team, I have Jackson Dart, Lane Kiffin, and the Rebel Nation.
Yeah, so for my disappointment team, I have the same. Here's the deal. This has nothing to do with player talent, and this prediction has everything to do with one man. His name rhymes with Ain Iffin. And here's the deal. Lane Kiffin is a good coach. I'm not calling into question his coaching, but he has always been a little bit... He is the incarnation, the human recreation of the grass is always greener on the other side of the pasture. He's always, moving. He's always doing things. And the Lane Kiffin team cycle is more or less infinite ups and downs until it finally ends in a train wreck. And while this looks to be one of those ups this year for Ole Miss, I think there is a non-zero chance, and therefore I'm predicting it now, that Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin is going to do something crazy. Something wild's going to go down, a player or staff or something like that, and Lane Kiffin's going to do what he does and destroy another staff and program this year or adjacent to this year, and that's why Ole Miss is going to be a disappointment. And I think that they have a huge amount of talent that just might be wasted by Lane Kiffin. But what's your disappointing team, Kirtan?
My disappointment team is going to be LSU. And it's going to be probably because of the fact that I don't think Brian Kelly will be up to the task of finding a better quarterback than Jaden Daniels. The reason I say this is because LSU was gifted with two insanely good quarterbacks for the last couple of years, having Jaden Daniels, having Joe Burrow, and so now they're really in your hot knocks phase where you got to find a replacement quarterback. And like I said, the quarterback is the captain of the team. If you don't have a reliable guy, then you really respond to your next big dog, which is Brian Kelly. And Brian Kelly, he showed up to games, but I haven't seen him really take over and be the coach that they want. I see him being more of a recruitment coach who's able to bring in star-studded talent, but he isn't able to land wins on the record. He isn't able to beat Florida State. And so I think they're going to be your letdown team, is because they're always going to bring in top-tier talent, but they're always going to shy away when it comes to actual games. And even now, I still see Bama beating them in the playoffs, or not in the playoffs, in the regular season. I think LSU might slip into the playoffs as a low seed, but I do see them not showing up and being better than Bama, who we know has lost their coach and basically everyone.
Yeah, all right. So as for the worst team in the SEC, which is now where we move to, unfortunately, and I'm going to give you the puppy dog eyes here, I'm sorry, Vandy, but it's got to be you. There's no one really else. It's only you for the worst team. Other teams are going to beat you. You're not going to do great. I'm sorry, but that's just how it has to be. So I'm sorry, Vandy, but you are going to be the worst team in the SEC. Kirtan.
And I fully agree. Vanderbilt, Let's have a quick conversation, Vanderbilt Nation. Your team is bad. Really, really bad. Your team is going to get mauled by essentially everybody you play. But we love you, Vanderbilt. You may have a star on your helmet, but you have zero talent. You are the worst team in the SEC by a good amount. So, don't think about that too much. Maybe next year go to the ACC and become a middle team. But one day, and I promise you, one day, Kieran will sign with y'all. And he will make your team just that little bit better than Kentucky. Okay, that's enough for me. Kieran,
that's going to be a brilliant,
to...
I don't know what you call it. Reel, TikTok, short. What is it these days? What? Kids, please tell me.
Take it to the coach of the year, Kieran.
Okay. Well, I guess now that I'm committed to Vandy, I gotta say that the coach of the year is Brian Kelly for me. So to me, Brian Kelly, I think he's gonna step up. I think he's going to be the coach that LSU needs. I think that he will one day win a championship there. I don't think that's this year, but I think he's gonna get that solid third place finish in the SEC. Which is kind of where they finished this year. But I still think he's going to have a great season, especially with not having the Jaden Daniels offense, having to make do with Garrett Nussmeier. I think he's a veteran, even though he hasn't played a whole lot. He's gotten a lot of work in the system. And I think that LSU is ready to take a step forward with their defense. And I think that that is going to result in a good season for them. And that's why Brian Kelly will be coach of the year. But shoot it over to you, Kirtan.
Yeah, and so for my coach of the year, I have Kalen DeBoer. As we know, he's going to be first time coaching in the SEC. He's going to be taking the reins of probably the greatest program to ever see the NCAA modern era, and this is, of course, Bama. The reason I have him being coach of the year is because you don't really expect that much from him, as we know that when Saban left, the entire team dismantled. Isaiah Bond left, everyone left, mainly Jalen Milroe was the one notable that stayed. And if Kalen DeBoer can go into LSU, go against Brian Kelly, and beat him in, I believe, it might be Baton Rouge this year. I don't know if it is. I don't know if it's Tuscaloosa. But if you could just beat them, I mean, that's just going to be such a confidence booster. It'll show that your program is still going to show up. And so I know Kieran said that y'all are going to finish third. I say, or LSU will finish third. I think you're going to be better than LSU. I think it's going to be Georgia, Ole Miss, Texas, y'all. Kieran, who do you believe is the player of the SEC?
So this...
Favoritism?
There is no favoritism in this. There is pure objectivity in the fact that CJ Baxter is going to be the SEC player of the year! Alright, so, CJ Baxter, he's good. He's a little good. Texas is returning, I believe, 4 out of 5 starters on the offensive line, which is crazy. They're going to have crazy good O-line. They've got a great blocking tight end in Gunnar Helm, who can also catch a pass or two. They have someone who's really good at handing off the ball. His name is Quinn Ewers. And they've got what I believe will be the best running back in the country next year. With all those pesky Cody Schraders and Blake Corums out of the way, CJ Baxter will be claiming the Doak Walker Award, as he should, and he will be going crazy. He's crazy talented. He's made a lot of plays. This year comes to mind the 4th down play where they pitched it to him in the K-State game, and he went all the way in for a score, which was incredible. I was there. It was amazing. He's very good. He's got a great jump cut. He's very good at just getting out of the way. He's good at running people over. To me, he's kind of everything in a running back, right? Like a lot of running backs are either really physical and good at getting downhill like Blake Corum, or they're crazy good at making people dance in front of them and then get absolutely crossed up, like your Ollie Gordons of the world. But he's just a good all-around back, kind of like Cody Schrader, right, who I was so high on this past season. He's really good. He's very talented. He's big. He's physical. But he's also delicate and agile, and will be able to go crazy. And to me, deserves SEC Player of the Year because I don't think any star is going to shine brighter than the stars above Texas, and that one is going to be C.J. Baxter. Kirtan, which Georgia player have you selected?
I've actually gone with a rebel this time. I've gone with probably the most fearless, the most energetic quarterback I've seen in the last season. This is Jackson Dart. This is Ole Miss's quarterback. He is outstanding talent. He is the most fearless player I've seen in so long, as he almost seems happy when he gets tackled. I mean, talk about a guy that is willing to put his head down and really fight for the first down. There's times where you see him where he'll tuck the ball and run, and it doesn't matter if he's standing across with a 250, 6'3" linebacker and gets rocked. He will still bounce back up. He will get up with his head held high, and he will go on for the next play because he loves the feel of the game. And I feel like players that love the game and love to be in those big moments are the players that end up playing the best. I think that's why, and this can be a quick promo for the Super Bowl, I think that's why this Super Bowl is going to be so good. I think Brock Purdy, I think he has the greatest story. He was great at Iowa State. He was Mr. Irrelevant, and he lives for times like this where he makes his way to the Super Bowl. Same thing with Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes almost seems like he's built to make it to the Super Bowl. And they live for these moments, and that's what makes him so great. Same reason with Jackson Dart. I think he's built for these moments. He's built for winning the SEC, and he's going to be such a dominant force for teams to face. I think, though, Georgia will take care of him. We won't need to worry about him. But for other teams like Texas, on the other hand, who is a horrible secondary, will have to deal with his elite passing and his proficiency for that.
All right.
Well, that will wrap up this week's episode of Beyond the Snap. Be sure to tune in. We're trying to get all of y'all to subscribe to the channel. We know that there's at least 28 of y'all that watch this episode, so we know there's at least roughly 40 to 60 to 80 to 90 views on our solo episodes. If each one of y'all just subscribed, our subscriber count will be all the way up to 90, and we would love it. And then we can make better content. YouTube will push our algorithm more. We'll get more views, and we can make better content at the end of the day for y'all. That's all I got, Kieran. Anything else?
Yeah, thank you for watching. Again, we have promised 1,000 subscribers, Texas-Georgia game. 5,000 subscribers, SEC Championship game. 10,000 subscribers, National Championship game. These are not empty promises, I promise you folks. That will also, you'll see it, we'll do it, it'll be great, it'll be amazing. And yeah, if you want to support better content, if you want to support people who are not on contract from a large network covering college football, then please support us. Best way to do that is through subscribing and watching the videos. But yes, thank you and have a great day.
Alright, well, that's it for episode 8 of Beyond the Snap, or episode 9. Everyone, tune in next time, and next time we will probably be covering another conference, some more players in the NFL, and who knows, there might be a new segment. Stay tuned. Peace.